What is the biggest myth about being a content creator? Just like first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, that we earn so much money and life is so glamorous. Well, actually, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really not. Honestly, you will find me most days sat at 2 a.m. in a hoodie. I probably spent half the day crying, half the day with masalas over my top.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for like young and aspiring content creators who are possibly going through this grey area with brands?
Yeah, to set a contract. A contract is going to be your best friend because a contract is legally binding.
But can we talk more about the money side of things and how does it actually work? What is the reality of how much you earn as a creator?
So,
hello everyone and welcome to Breaking the Browndary. In this podcast, we explore the stories of South Asian millennials and beyond globally. And this is our first live episode in a studio. So I'm very excited to have you on. And we have a fellow Ria on the show. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I'll give you a little intro just to gas you up a bit. But Ria is a multi-passionate creator, brand founder and storyteller, and you've got multiple businesses and you're redefining what it means to be a South Asian woman in the modern world. So yeah, you're the visionary behind Glam Eyes as well as your own platform on cloud Dine.
Yeah.
So many different avenues. You've got the beauty brand, you've got the food platform, and you're celebrating your cultural heritage through your recipes and through your beloved Dad Hack series as well. So across your platform, you share the real relatable side of building a business as well as balancing traditions and embracing joy in all forms. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. And what we'll do to kick things off, we'll run like a rapid fire round. So this is a few questions to just get you warmed up, you know, release any of the nerves, any tension, just to get the creative juices and the brain flows like flowing.
Okay,
So are you ready for the rapid fire?
I think so.
Cool. So number one, what is one South Asian stereotype that you're breaking?
Leaving a traditional job. So I think being South Asian, you're always pushed into being the good Indian girl, following the good grades. You know, I come from a very well-grounded family, a family where, you know, my dad's a pharmacist, where he's also the property developer, he's also a magistrate, and he's done everything by the books and he's done it so well, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got my mum who's a nursery teacher, and again, she's just done it so well, and they both follow a very traditional career path. And then there's me, and I was always pushed into being that good girl, having those good grades and being the good Indian daughter. And whilst I did all of that, and you know, I really did emulate how my dad was in court as a magistrate.
Yeah.
I was just so done with it. After working in law for 6 years, I just thought my passion is cooking, and I'm going to go and cook, and I'm going to go and be that creative.
Yeah, so you really did break the boundary by not being the good girl stereotype, basically. Wow, cool. Question 2. What is the biggest myth about being a content creator? Just like first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, that we earn so much money and life is so glamorous. Well, actually, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really not. Honestly, you will find me most days sat at 2 a.m. in a hoodie. I probably spent half the day crying, half the day with masalas over my top, and half the day trying to plan a business through Glam Eyes. So I've probably done, you know, cooking for On Cloud Dine, content for Relax, and Dad Hacks, and then trying to go Glam Eyes, and then plan all the content at 2 a.m. and just sitting there. Honestly, the days that I've had a mental breakdown is uncountable.
Exactly, and that's the reality that we need to talk about as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's not all glam, and I'm so glad that you're sharing this.
It's definitely not all glam, no. But it is definitely something that I'm way more passionate about now that I'm working for myself and I have my own freedom to do what I want.
Yeah.
So for me, something that I really like is going to the gym, and I think it's my outlet for having peace of mind, having a little bit of letting off that steam instead of crying.
Yeah, I also, you know, channel that pain into power through the gym. I love that. Cool. Next question. What is one law skill that actually helps you today?
Selling, talking to people. So for me, I do it's not just creating content. I also have to work with brands, right? That's how I obviously obtain my income.
Yeah.
So working with brands, I have to communicate with them, and I learned that through law, communicating with loads of clients on a daily basis, you know, explaining to them manageable timelines, setting boundaries with them. And that is something I've now transferred across with brands, setting my boundaries with them, saying to them, okay, I'm going to aim to have one piece of content to you by this date, then you're going to set me approval or send me any reversions that need to be made by this date, and then we're going to work to these timescales. Because more often than not, a lot of brands don't like setting timelines. They just want the content done yesterday. And also payment with brands is a lot. So sometimes brands want what they can from creators. They want the most out of them for free, essentially, because they want to be able to, reap in all their benefits without compensating content creators. So another thing that I've also learned is setting in place contracts. So I write my own contracts now, so I don't need to have a lawyer.
So you've already learned that from your law, like working in law, and now you can use that in your content creator field.
So I implement contracts with everyone, I implement deadlines with everyone, and that's how I aim to stay clear with all my brands.
I need a version of you in my pocket, I love that. But that just shows, like, sometimes when you don't know where you're heading, like your previous jobs can like help you for like your future job that you don't even know what it is.
Yeah, agreed. So
that's amazing. Next question in the rapid fire round. So what is the most unexpected challenge of freelancing?
Freedom. For me, it's so with a 9-to-5 job, you've got to get out of bed by 6:30. You're going to leave the house by 7:30 to get on the train by 7:45. And in law, my life was so regimented. Like in the mornings from 9 till 10:30, I'll do my emails. Then I'll go on to client calls from 10:30 onwards. Then you've got a lunch break at 1 till 2. You're going to finish work at 5:30. More often than not, it's about 10 p.m. But with freelance life, no one's going to tell you you've got to wake up today. No one's going to tell you, okay, you've spent 3 hours in the gym, go home now. No one's going to tell you you've got to do this series. You have no direction whatsoever. And coming from such a regimented, strict timeline in my life to having no timeline whatsoever, I have found it a real challenge.
You have to be your own project manager. You have to be your own boss, as they say. But it's actually harder. It's not as glamorous sometimes because that if you don't get the deadline done, it's all on you. It will impact your brand reputation. Yeah. So it's more pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, And also, you've got to look good as well. And some days you just don't want to have a hair wash.
I washed my hair today for this.
I washed my hair today too.
There you go. And then the last rapid fire round is, in one word, how does this life feel now?
Rejuvenating. Yeah, rejuvenating is one word I would say,
I love that.
I feel like I've never been so me before. I feel like I've got a different kind of mentality now, a different kind of glow to who I am. I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel pressure. I just feel happy.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, rapid fire round is successfully completed.
Thank you.
You survived. Do you feel a bit more warmed up now?
I do feel warmed up now.
That's good. But yeah, I guess I wanted to hear a bit more about your journey and your story and more about, even your cultural heritage and how that plays into it.
Okay.
So can you tell me a bit more about your cultural heritage and your identity and where did you come from?
Okay, so from me, as I said earlier, I come from a family where my parents took the traditional route, right?
Yeah.
But I also feel like I'm living through the generations of my family as well. So I'm the only girl in my dad's side of the family, and I'm also the oldest in my dad's side of the family. So coming from that, I have a lot of pressure to be that perfect girl, carry the family and carry the family name and portray myself in the way that how my generations would have wanted to see how we are as well. I always had to be the girl who was getting the good grades, who had to follow a traditional career path because, I had to follow in my dad's footsteps because being the eldest in the family and being the only girl, it came down to me to prove everything in my family that, I wasn't just a girl. I was also capable of being academic. I was capable of being sporty. I was capable of managing everything and following that career path. And you know what? I did it.
Yeah.
The fact that I actually managed to not only study law, but I managed somehow as well in my life to get a scholarship to study in Australia as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't just study law. I studied politics and international relations at uni. And then I got the scholarship to study in Australia. And then I graduated. Then I did law. And then I went and did a master's in law. So I really proved that I could do it.
You took the whole journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
to leave it behind.
That's what it's all about though. Isn't that what life's about? But I think a lot of people can relate to, the eldest daughter dynamic and feeling the pressure as the only girl, whether that be feel like the only child or if it's like the only girl within a family. Like it's just that dynamic. I think a lot of South Asian women can relate to that.
Yeah.
The pressure of overachieving is a big one.
It's huge, especially because, so again, coming from that traditional route in my family, they did also send me to I went to a private school.
Yeah.
And going to a private school put even more pressure on me because I'm surrounded by all my peers that were constantly achieving.
High achieving,
and I couldn't be the one to let, my family down and be like, oh, sorry, mum, I came home with a D today. That would just, that's so unheard of. It could never happen.
Yeah.
It was always constantly A's, you've got to do this the best, you've got to do that the best, as well as like learning how to be sporty. And I really don't like sports.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, even when you look back on your childhood, you think it doesn't impact you as much now, but it's like that overachieving mentality is still ingrained in you. And it's like, even sometimes I feel it today. It's like, I want to like achieve this and this at the same time and like unnecessarily put pressure on myself.
Yeah.
But it comes from that childhood, like, trying to meet the grades and impress your parents and impress, like, I guess, family and culture.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, isn't it? You're always scared about what your family is going to turn around and say. It's not even what my parents are going to say. It's about what your aunties, uncles are going to say about you. It's like, oh, yeah, I heard that Ria's doing this now. Yeah. And it's like, actually, do you know what? When you come away from it and you really detach from it, you think, hang on, are you paying my bills? Are you going to be funding my holidays? Are you going to be funding my wedding? No, actually, you're not. So why do I care what someone else is going to say? The one thing that my parents always say to me is don't cut off our nose, right? You can continue to grow. I think they've adapted this mentality now that I've left my job and they see how happy I am. But it's like, I would never put them down and I would never do something that would disrespect them,
Yeah.
I would never take my content creation in a negative way, right? I wouldn't sign up to, I don't know, OnlyFans, for example.
Yeah.
It's just food, right? At the end of the day. It's just trying to like cook in a sari, show my dad's heritage through his dad hacks and everything that he learned from his generations growing up. But I would never cut their nose off. I would never take it in a negative direction. It's always about keeping so all my recipes on Dine are mostly from my culture anyway. They're all from Indian food with a twist. So my most recent series, you've probably seen it, it's called Chart and Chill.
Yeah I love it.
So it's just all about taking a traditional dish and putting a South Asian modern twist on it, basically.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into all of that also. I guess I wanted to hear more about, when did you, because you mentioned obviously you'd done the law degree and then you left it all behind, so when did you feel like you had that feeling like this is not it, and like what kind of prompted you to transition? How did that all happen?
Okay, so I don't think that it was one breaking moment. It was a whole load of quiet realizations in my head that built up to this moment. It was me feeling drained before my day had even begun. So I've worked in a lot of law firms, and I will never forget one law firm I worked in. So before this job I was on the train and I was about to get off at I don't even know where it was. Embankment. It was Embankment. I was about to get off the train and some guy stopped me and he goes, "Are you okay? You look really miserable."
Wow.
And I literally sat there and I was like, you know what? I am miserable. I really don't like what I'm doing. And I back then naively thought it was my job that I didn't like and it was the law firm. So I did end up leaving that law firm and then I joined another law firm and I was with that firm for 2.5 years. So I really stuck at it. And it was just a whole load of things that just made me realise, what am I doing in law? It's the same mundane thing that you do every day. You have clients that are so horrible to you. They just don't appreciate your time. They don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate you as a person, actually. One client turned around and was like, well, I'm paying your salary. And I was like, actually, you're not. You're paying £300 for a conveyancing file that actually is not my salary. So the fact that you're even speaking to me like this is horrible. And then you just sit there and you're like, I'm working overtime. I'm not being paid to work overtime. I'm working the same mundane cycle and I'm filling out the same paperwork that I did a year ago. Am I growing as a person? Am I growing in my career? I'm not. And I was always doing this food thing on the side. I was always doing content creation on the side. And I always had my clients for social media management on the side. So it's not like that just suddenly took over when I left law. I've always been doing that alongside doing my full-time job. And then when I was looking at people's content and I just saw, oh, they're able to put a lot more into their content because they're spending more time doing that content. Whereas I was coming home from work at 11 p.m, sometimes managing to go to the gym, meal prepping for the next day, and going to bed and doing the same cycle for 5 days a week. And then it comes to Saturday and Sunday and I was tired.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get in my kitchen and do a recipe. And then I slowly lost that recipe side of Cloud Dine and it became more restaurants. And then with restaurants, I put on loads of weight.
Yeah.
So then I became even more unhappier in myself.
It's like a toxic cycle.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So I put on quite a bit of weight. And then 2 years ago, I had a really, really big car crash with the police. So the police drove into my car. Yeah, it was on the news.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a big car crash. So the police drove into my car. And then I was with my boss because we were going to a lunch. And I remember my work said to me...
Was your boss in the car?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the police car drove into my driver's side door, and his side was the passenger side. Went into a lamppost, which is the reason that my car didn't topple.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was really crazy at that time. But I remember they said to me that if I were to take any time off for being hospitalized from this accident, I wouldn't be paid for it.
Wow.
So I went back into the office 3 days after having a major car accident. Yeah. After being cut out of my car. And I just thought, what on earth am I doing with myself? I'm going to be replaceable in this job tomorrow if I left.
Wow. That's a wake-up call. I just got goosebumps because that is literally like a wake-up call.
It was a wake-up call, but I still stayed in my job.
Wow.
I still battled it out. And then again, I put on more weight because I was so sad about having a car accident. And again, I was trying to keep up with the content side of things.
Yeah.
But again, I was so unwell as well.
Yeah.
And
it was building up. It was just building up.
It was just crazy. Everything was just getting on top of me. And then at this point, I just said, well, actually my partner said, Ria, you need a change now. You need to do something about this because you're feeling unhappy. You're unhappy all the time. So he got me a personal coach.
Oh, wow.
So I got an online trainer, and as a foodie, I never really thought I'd be saying that. Yeah, I got a trainer who put me on a strict meal plan. Yeah. And I stayed on a meal plan for about 7 months. Yeah. To this day, I still do that meal plan.
Wow.
Obviously, it's not as strict as it was back then.
Yeah.
And I just came back from a 3-week holiday.
Yeah, but it's like a kickstart to your health journey, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I had to do it. I had no choice. And then I got back into the gym again that I'd lost after my car crash, and I just felt a lot happier after that. Yeah.
Wow. And then I guess so that car crash, you were still working at your job. Yeah. But then what was the actual transition between you like leaving your job? How did that actually happen?
So it was all those small things that just built up. And then last year, my firm underwent a huge change where my directors left the company. Oh, wow. And me and my director were quite close. And I just thought, okay, if I don't do it now, then it's going to be never, isn't it? And then he said to me, do you want to join my new law firm? And I said that, and I really thought about it. And then I ran away to India for a month.
Yeah, this is what we talked about previously. And I want to hear, you had like a break in India, basically.
Yeah, so as soon as I left my job, I went for a month to India. I went there for Navratri. I went to go and explore the food scene in India. I went to go and just be me in India. Just go and take that whole break.
Did you go alone or with family?
No, I went with my parents and my partner.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was the most incredible month of my life, right? We just travelled all around Gujarat and did Mumbai. Wow. And whilst I was out there, I just thought, you know what? If I join a law firm, I'm never going to have this break, because in a law firm, you're only allowed 1 week holiday at a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Is that for all law firms or just most of them?
I just think when you're working in conveyancing, because people want their house completed like last week, right? Mm-hmm. They don't want to wait. And then when you change case handlers, when you're working on a property purchase or a property sale or a remortgage or whatever it is, people are working to timelines, right? They've got school deadlines or they've got mortgage application deadlines. So you can't really afford to give your case away to someone else. And then someone else also has their own caseload. And once you've got your own caseload, you're in like 100 files, and people don't have time to familiarize themselves with your cases as well as their own. So then the service level drops, and then you get complaints, and you just can't really afford to give your cases away.
The corporate world is not the one.
No.
Yeah.
And it's not rewarding either.
Yeah.
So whilst I was in India, I just thought, you know what, this is my time to shine. And I got I worked with a lot of restaurants whilst I was out there in India as well. I don't know how that happened, but they approached me whilst I was out there. So I just thought, okay, let me work with them. Let me see how
did that happen? Like, did they just find your Instagram? Or?
Yeah, because I was posting India content whilst I was out there.
Yeah.
And I was posting a lot of the restaurants I was going to there as well. Yeah. And then a chef whilst I was there approached me, and he was like, do you want to come and cook with me? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to learn how to cook with you. So that's how India... accelerated me to not join another law firm when I came back.
Wow, that sounds, it just feels like that break was what you needed to just like, restart your life. And then when you were back from India, then boom, did you just go all in, or like?
I literally, yeah, that's it. I just thought, right, I need to set myself a timetable. I need to compartmentalize what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do everything. Because by this time it was November, right, last year. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to have no brand deals right now. I get that. I'm going to have no clients right now. I get that. Apart from the ones that I had when I was working in the corporate world. I'm just going to have to use my savings, invest everything I have, and just graft now. Because if I don't graft now, then when am I going to do it, right? And short-term graft, short-term hard work is going to pay off in the long term, is kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah, no, it's really inspiring to hear. Like, literally, so was it November 2024 that you basically started and you're like all in? And then now, have you like basically, are you in a place where you're like, wow, I've got brand deals, I've got things, it all just under a year then?
Yeah, but it's a slow process. So, working with brand deals is a long-term thing for me, right? And I like to build my relationship with brands. I think with the food industry and with restaurants and with PR companies, that you're going to be working with them on a long-term basis. So you need to kind of build that relationship with them and not burn any bridges with them. So for example, Ninja and Shark is one that I work with quite a lot, quite regularly. And I have since 2020 actually. So when you build these relationships with them, it's quite slow, and sometimes they don't want to keep working with the same influencers, but then they'll come back to you later on in the line. So you can't burn those bridges with them right now, but it is a slow process. It's really slow. So some months I'll have great brand deals, and some months I'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
And then for that, I'll have my social media management package to fall back on, where I've got some sort of income coming in. Yeah. But again, with content creation, it's not like you have a salary at the end of each month. 28th day, I'm going to get paid, I'm going to get that money in my account. No. Yeah. It just doesn't happen.
And it's important people know the reality of this, because it is so, like we said, it's so glamorized online.
Very glamorized.
People think, oh, you just post a couple of videos, boom. No, it's just so much more that goes into it. Direction, production, storytelling, everything.
So, sometimes people look at my video and they're like, oh, it's a 15-second reel. It just took an hour to put together. Actually, no, it didn't. It probably took me 2 weeks to put that together, because I've been planning a series for 1 month before that series goes live, right? Yeah. And I spend that week filming the whole series, yeah? So even for Chart and Chill, I've posted 1 episode, but the whole series is filmed. It was filmed before I went to Thailand. I just didn't want to roll it out whilst I was out there, because it would detract away from being in Thailand. And then again, I was taking a break, right? A break. Yeah. Because you don't really have a break when you're working for yourself. Yeah. You have to constantly keep thinking of content, right? So even whilst I was out there, I was posting content, I was editing content, I was taking content. Everything was just content. Yeah. Every part of my holiday was just content. But you have to think about a series a month before you post it, right? You've got to film that series, you've got to edit that series, you've got to script it, edit it, plan the shot list, plan the script, what you're going to say to the camera, and plan your voiceover. Because if I'm just filming a recipe and then think of the script later, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. And then the flow isn't there, and then the reach isn't going to get there, because people are going to be so disjointed from what my video is showing to what I'm actually trying to say as well. Yeah. So it's a lot more that goes into it.
It's so much more complicated, and I can imagine as well it can cause burnout, because it's you mentioned, if you're working on holiday, you don't have that moment to relax and just unwind. So then how do you manage your time? Like, how do you avoid the burnout as a content creator, or are you trying to figure out ways to manage that?
So for me, coming from my background in law, everything is organized. So I time block everything. My life right now is lived from my content calendar, which is Notion. Yeah. I love Notion. I love Notion. It's so good. Yeah. So it's Notion, my notes app, and my calendar app. And honestly, those three, without them, I don't know what I would do. I plan every single thing. So I have days where I will focus. So my morning will be filming, because that's when the lighting is best in my kitchen. And then so before any of that, I have to go to the gym. Yeah. And I love my time in the gym, right?
You need to have your time to yourself to replenish that energy.
And in my gym, I don't speak to anyone. I put my headphones in and I do my workout. And that is genuinely me time for my day. Then I will know that I've got to get back into the rat race, and I've got to do 2 recipes that day. For a series that I'm probably doing next month. Yeah. I've got to do 2 recipes that day. Then I'll do my editing. Then I'll do my emails. Then I'll do my brand deals. Then again, I'll do my editing for all my clients in the evening. And so when I do my clients, what I do is again, I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to say time is money, right?
Yeah.
So I need to maximize the amount of time my clients are paying me to how much time I'm spending on their content. So if I do a content shoot in a day for my clients, I will spend maybe 3 hours with my clients at max for a month, and I will film their whole month content in that 3 hours, and then I'll come home and I will edit it that same day, and then in that one day, in 8 hours or 7 hours, I will have 1 month content for that client done, and then I will schedule it, and then that's it done.
Wow.
Yeah, because
you've got the organization to a T. I think take some tips. I'm going to take some notes from this. I love that.
So it's just about planning my content calendar to the absolute T, planning like how I want my day to look, and then again just planning like what business is going to be worked on what day, because I can't do reality moments editing the same day that I'm doing glamized filming, the same day that I'm doing on cloud Dine filming, and the same day that I'm doing relax filming, because it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's switching
multiple
from
businesses.
Yeah, it's switching my hat from contact lenses to being a chef, to then being a creative, to then doing, you know, wedding content. It's a lot.
Yeah. So you tend to, when you do your time blocks, do you focus one day on one business, one day on another business?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how you manage your time with that.
Yeah.
But before we get into that aspect, I wanted to know more about when you did move away from content creation, more about your journey, about how did you get, what was the reaction from your family and your friends? And I'm just curious, like, how did you find that transition with your family and friends?
So with my friends, they didn't really take me seriously. I still think to this day, they don't really take me seriously. Even when I'm, you know, when I speak to some of them, they're like, but you're free all day, so you can just do this. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm not free all day. I'm working. So I think for a lot of them, again, a lot of my friends are from, you know, the private school background, doing a lot of, I don't know what they're doing, IT, project management. I'm not really sure.
Corporate world.
Yeah, the corporate world.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in the corporate world, right? And they don't actually take what I do seriously, because they don't see how what I do is contributing positively, even though they themselves spend a lot of time binge watching content, right?
Yeah.
That us content creators have to spend that time putting in so they have something to watch, but they don't actually value that. I think with my family, I remember the day that I told my mom I left Law World, she called me, she was like, oh, I feel so gutted, Ria. I can't believe it. I feel really sad. And I was just there like, oh no, have I done the right thing?
Yeah.
And because me and my mom are really close, right? You just sit there and you really doubt yourself. You're like, oh, should I go back in and retract it? Oh no.
Yeah.
And then by that point, I was just like, you know what? I've committed to this. I need to do this. We're going to India in 2 days. And then if anything, then I have another law firm to join as a backup, right? When I come back. And then, it was hard. It was hard to get through to my parents. But I think because they've been seeing me cooking, and they come to a lot of my restaurant invites with me as well, right? On the weekends, when I worked full time, they've seen how happy it makes me, and how long, and then again, when they spent time with me in India and they saw me cooking with the chef, or they saw me in restaurants and they came to those restaurant invites in India, they saw that actually I spend a lot of time editing. I spend a lot of time working on what I do and meeting all these people, because you have to sit there, you have to mingle with these business owners, you need to, you know, network with them. And then when they saw that, actually they started to really appreciate it. Even so that my dad is now Dad Hacks. He's got his own feature on my channel, that he's now got people coming up to him and saying, oh, we haven't seen your Dad Hacks episodes recently, and you coming back on it. It's taken a very
people
long
are recognizing your dad now.
Even people will come up to my brother and be like, oh yeah, your dad's now doing a stint on this is great. So now I think they've got a lot more appreciation for it, and they see how much I'm working, and also they're reaping in the benefits, because every day when my parents come home, well, my dad's retired, so he's at home with me. But when my mum comes home from work and she's got all new foods to try, she's loving it. She's like, actually, this is great. And so now they're really, really supportive, and I think that it took a lot of time to get there, but the chaos in the kitchen and my dad's Dad Hacks, and it's his way of telling his story of how he grew up and through his generational change, and how all of that can come through food. And I think he's now learning that as well.
Food can tell like a really strong story. And was On Cloud Dine your first business? So what motivated you to start it then? Because you mentioned obviously it's like to show your cultural heritage and background. I was wondering, tell me a bit more about that journey. Like, how did you first start that? That
is an interesting one. So my growing up, my parents were very corporate, right? And my mum was actually, before she was a nursery teacher, she was a private banker for the National Bank of Dubai in Knightsbridge. So I didn't see my parents growing up, right? I had a full-on living nanny, and I had my nanny, who's my mum's mum. And me and my nanny were like inseparable, right? She would be cooking in the kitchen when my mum was at work. And then she'd be like, oh, Ria, do you know where the masala tin is? And I'd be like, yeah, nanny, it's in this cupboard, it's in this cupboard. And then she'd go and tell my mum, oh yeah, Ria helped me cook today. Yeah. It's surprising how like a little 3-year-old would know where all the like dubbies are kept, right?
Yeah.
And then growing up, she taught me how to cook. She taught me everything I know about my cooking, right? All my flavors, all my masalas.
Yeah.
You know, you don't measure things, you do things by eye, you use your hand because that's where the PR comes from. So then during lockdown, me and my mum were sitting in the garden, and we were just laughing. We were literally laughing about it because that was the best summer we've had in the UK, right? We were laughing about cooking, we were laughing about recipes, and then people just kept asking us for recipes, right? And we were like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own page and put it out there and see how it does. So it literally started in the garden, and I was thinking of a name, and I just thought, you know, I love puns. I love food.
I love puns too.
Yeah. So I just thought, right, on cloud 9, right, on cloud Dine, done.
Easy.
And then, I started the page. I didn't want to overthink it. I remember one of my first posts was an overnight porridge with cocoa powder, and I put cocoa powder on my table, and I drew a little heart in it, and I put the pot of overnight oats there, and that was it. That was my picture. And then since then I just didn't really look back, and we came out of lockdown, and then restaurants started reaching out to me, we'd love to invite you down, Ria. And I just thought, wow, oh my god, people are inviting me down. And this was before I even put my face on my account, because I was so nervous for anyone to know who I was. And even then my family were just like, it's just a lockdown hobby, you know, she's going to get over it when she goes back to work. She's going to drop this, it's childish. Actually, no, I continue to think, here we are 5 years later.
Yeah, so it seems like the story is sweet because it started from your nanny, like instilling the love of food and joy, like, you know, within, and showing that cultural heritage through your cooking, which you still do now, and you're like showing recipes of South Asian food, like Gujarati food, like the charts, everything
is going to be from, so everything that I learned from my cooking is from my nanny, and it's all her recipes that I've just evolved essentially.
That's nice, and you're adding your own twist to it, and I think that's beautiful because you're also like, in a way, that's preserving our heritage and culture, these little digital moments of recipes. So
I just wish that she was still here, so I could cook with her and I could show her on my page and be like, you are the reason I started this.
I know, but it's like when you have I feel like sometimes when you have that pure intention of like starting something, and like it's just more powerful, and people can feel that energy that you're putting through the content. So
that's kind of what I wanted to build with my page, just give it a family feel, you know. That's why my family are quite involved in my page.
No, I love that. And then I guess more about your creator life, which I know you touched on, but what is, like you mentioned the content calendars, the burnout, the glam, but can we talk more about the money side of things, and how does it actually work? Like obviously as a freelancer, you have multiple contracts, but what is the reality of how much you earn as a creator? So again, it's quite varied month to month, but I think as a creator and as a freelancer, you have to have a lot of streams of income. So for me, it's going to be those brand deals, the sponsorship deals, the long-term clients deals. But the most stable income is going to be from the social media management, right? Because you've got those clients reoccurring and they're tied into a contract with you. So more often than not, it'll be like 3 months, 6 months, or like maybe a year, whatever it may be. But that is going to be the paycheck income that's going to be every month. Whereas when you work with brands, it's not really every month, right? And then again, glam eye sales, and that's a big part of my revenue right now as well, because that's just taking off, and UGC content as well. So sometimes brands will reach out to me and they'll be like, we don't actually need you to put the content on your page, we just want you to make the content because we like your style of content, and then we'll pay you for usage rights. So that's how we kind of, that's how I navigate making money. But again, it is hard work, because even getting in front of those brands, getting in front of those, not only the brands, but like the restaurants that are going to be my future clients, or the hospitality brands, or any clients that I have got. So it is just hard. It is a lot of
calls and scheduling Google Meets and, you know, a lot of closed doors on my face.
Yeah, you had to go through some rejection to get like.
I still get rejection.
Yeah.
Even now, yesterday, for example, I just came back from Thailand and then I was at a restaurant yesterday and we were talking about social media management and I was just talking to them about their social media.
Yeah.
And they said to me, okay, so why don't you tell me what brands you work with? And I kind of turned around and said to them, actually, no, I'm not going to do that, because the same way that you would want me to respect your privacy working with you, and if you were my client, I wouldn't be going around flaunting, oh yeah, this is your restaurant name and I'm working with them. I wouldn't do that. The same way I think it's disrespectful to flaunt another company's name, to say, oh yeah, I'm going to use their stats to prove, you know, that I can do your restaurant. And I wouldn't do that, because I just respect a company's privacy in the same way that I would respect their privacy. And I just think that, again, trying to explain that to a brand without, you know, you're trying to get them to put their trust in you, and then, but you can't speak about another brand is quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a big challenge that I'm still trying to face at the minute.
And that's kind of something I've noticed with like content creation. There is that grey area with what brands can, you know, like you said, they'll pressure a content creator. Can you have this done by yesterday, as you mentioned? But it's like, how do you draw the boundaries of what you share and what you don't share? And do you have any advice for like young and aspiring content creators who are possibly going through this grey area with brands?
Yeah, to set a contract. A contract is going to be your best friend, because a contract is legally binding once it's been signed and dated and you've got your key clauses in there. Even if you send a simple email and then you get acknowledgement back from them to say, yeah, we agree these terms, then you know that it's been agreed and it's going to be legally binding. Because if you don't set these content expectations and you don't charge for your usage rights, or you're not charging them for using your content for paid ads, then they are going to be taking advantage of content creators, and they still do.
Yeah, because people don't know how to navigate it. They just think the first brand deal, yes, I'm going to do everything. And obviously you're going to be excited, that's normal. But then it's like, I can imagine there's a bit of fear if you're like, you do set this contract. Do some brands just say, no, we don't accept that contract? Or does that happen?
Oh yeah, 100%. Of course it happens. They'll send back a revised contract and then I'll read through it and I'll be like, hang on, you've added a line in here about usage rights. We didn't agree this. And I find it really unprofessional when brands do that. But you know, I think you need to be so reading the contracts is one thing, right? And negotiation is another thing. Because if you're not negotiating your worth, and we've got so many South Indian content creators that are still working for free, and I find that really sad, right? Especially because you've got these big name companies, right, that are inviting content creators down, and they're telling you, oh, we want 1 reel, 5 stories, and we want to be a collaborator partner on your reel. And actually, hang on. You've got the funds to pay a marketing company, but you don't have the funds to pay a content creator who is actually getting in the business, who is getting the footfall through that door for you. How is that adding up? It doesn't add up, right? So I think that is the really clear message that I would like to send to people, is stop working for free.
Yeah. Stop
working for free. You know, it doesn't cost you to say, do you have a budget for this marketing campaign? If they don't have a budget, fair enough. Okay, cool. I wouldn't like to work with you on this occasion then. But if a brand is coming to you with the expectations of content, ask them for a marketing budget, because you're not going to work in a job for free, right? To give them an outcome that they're going to be happy with. In the same way, why should a content creator work for free to give a brand a reel or a TikTok or whatever it may be, right? For them to then benefit.
We need those coins.
Yeah, we need the coins too. Like, who's going to pay our bills?
Yeah.
Who's going to pay our transportation costs to even get there? Who's going to pay our time to edit the content? Who's going to pay when we're eating the cold food? Do you know what I mean? We have to set the boundaries, especially as a South Asian content creator. I find it really sad that a lot of companies will pay non-South Asian content creators.
I've seen that. Yeah. And even when there's events like even Diwali or something like that, that's when everyone jumps on the bandwagon just to look good from the outside. But in reality, I've heard it's just very shallow.
Oh, it is very shallow, very shallow. I think there was an event that happened this Diwali when I came back, and this brand put everyone in white.
Okay.
And I was mad at that.
Yeah.
I was so mad at that, because Diwali is about colour.
Yeah. It's all about...
Why are you trying to whitewash an Indian South Asian population when Diwali is the complete opposite? Also, how are you inviting content creators that are not celebrating Diwali because they're not South Indian?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess, you know how you mentioned you've got the businesses and you've got your social media management company that has more of a stable income.
Yeah.
I guess that's helped you to obviously with your own businesses to manage that. But how did you even get started in that area? Like, how did that even come about? Because you've got multiple businesses. I'm just so curious.
You know, this is actually crazy. So I was at a restaurant. My first ever client was a restaurant mixed with a golf club.
Okay.
And one of them was also my fitness coach, and we were just talking about content, and I just said to him, you know, you need to fix up your content, it's horrible. And he goes to me, how? What do you mean, Ria? And I was like, okay, well, this is what I do differently, and this is what I do differently, and this is what I do differently. Also, you need to be posting this and this style of content in this format. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, if you give me a chance, I'll manage it for you and we'll sort it out. And then with the golf club in the restaurant, I just said, yeah, let me just sort out this whole social media, let me get it off the ground, and let me get footfall through the door, and let's put in place this promotion, let's put it online and let's see how it does. And then from then, that's essentially how it started. They became my first clients. And then I started editing content, because I was already editing content for On Cloud Dine, right? I already knew how to edit. It's not like, oh, it's a new thing for me. I already knew how to take the content, so that wasn't anything new for me. It was just putting together a shot list, putting together a timescale on how I wanted it to be done, and then just
and all it takes is that one. Like, I love this story because it's like you took that bold leap. Like, you had your contacts already, so it was like the fitness coach, but you could see where you could basically find your value and problem solve for them. And just by showcasing, just taking that one person, it's just catapulted into an entire business, which is inspiring to see, because I know some people right now who are starting their businesses from scratch. So it's like, it can be intimidating to get that first client and leap.
You'll get so much rejection. I think that's what you need to be comfortable with, is getting that rejection, because even 1,000 rejections, you're going to learn to change your ways, right? You know that what you're doing, come on, by like the 5th person who's rejected you, it's either something wrong with you or your way you're doing it, right? So you need to change it. So for example, for one of my most recent clients, I actually sent them a video. I did not expect anything to come from this. I got my phone and I recorded myself talking. And I just said, look, I've been to your restaurant a few times. I love the food, but I think your social media lacks this, this, and this. I'm Ria from On Cloud Dine. I can help build your business up. I built my page up from 0 to 30K. Let me just help your business. Let me do one meeting with you and let me see how it goes. If it goes well, then we can talk about it on a more permanent basis. And you know what? They opened my video within an hour. 1 hour later, she was on my phone and we had a call. We set up a call and now they're my client.
There you go. I love that story, because it's like you're being innovative. You're not just doing what everyone else is doing. Sometimes you need to do something that makes you stand out from the crowd, because there is a lot of competition, would 100%. You say? There's even now, there is a lot of content creators, more social media management like companies are existing. So it's being innovative and like just pushing the norms. Yeah,
that's it. I think that's what you need to keep doing. I think especially for our culture, because I see it a lot of other cultures. They argue with amongst themselves, right? But then as soon as someone exterior comes into them, they literally club together and they golf together as a unit. Whereas with South Asians, I don't feel like we do that enough. So even with transparency in pay, in how they're getting these deals and how they're working with other content creators, or how they're elevating their platform, how they're getting the reach, they just don't want to help you. And I think that feeds into a lot of the days where I feel like I have imposter syndrome, right? And that will come up quite a lot, even after everything that I've built. And I know that, okay, I'm not doing the best, right? I'm so new to this. Maybe like 3-4 months into my journey I am, right? But even everything that I built in those 3-4 months, I wouldn't be sitting here on a podcast, right? If I hadn't achieved something. But even after all that, I still feel like this devil will come up to me and be like,
devil on your shoulder.
Honestly, it's just like, Ria, you're not doing enough. Like, are you sure? And then it will really put me in a mood where I'm just like, I need to be putting out more content. Why am I not able to put out content every day? Why am I not able to work on quick enough on this brand deal? Why is this person getting this brand deal, but I didn't get this brand deal? And it happens to us all. But then I shake out of it and I get to the gym.
And I can relate to that as well, because it's like, I feel like, I don't know if this is like relates to South Asians, but maybe it's because we're the eldest, but I'm also like the eldest on my dad's side in terms of cousins. I feel like we are hard on ourselves, like, unnecessarily. We put a lot of pressure, and we're just hard on ourselves. So even when we're doing so much, then there's that part of us that thinks, I'm not doing enough. Like the limiting beliefs will pop up. They'll try and make you think, you know, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not achieving enough. But that's a lie. Like, you're already doing so much. And it's just about taking those steps, like the continuous steps, one at a time.
And just compartmentalizing everything and just being like, okay, just even today, if I just woke up out of bed and went to the gym, I've achieved something. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And then sometimes I feel like, sometimes it's like, you know how you hear on the social media, allow yourself to relax, allow yourself to rest. It's like, okay, I'm resting, but I kind of want to like create something as well. It's just that balance, right? And the imposter syndrome, like you mentioned, you still struggle with it even now.
100%, yeah.
So like, how do you actually overcome that? Do you just ignore it? Do you push it to the side, or?
I definitely have days where I still feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I compare myself to other content
You have 4 businesses and you still feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah, I genuinely, of course I do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some days when I look at how much I've earned for a month, it's not like every business is going to bring me money every month, is it? Like in December, it's not wedding season, so my wedding business won't do that well that month, right? Even in January, social media management was an all-time low because some companies are like, actually, we can't afford a social media manager. We've just come out of Christmas and we don't have the funds. So yeah, I feel it all the time. I feel it every day. I feel like, am I doing enough? Well, what am I doing? Can I do more? Like, right, okay, so let me reach out to this brand. Let me do this brand. Let me do this brand. And then, you know, when you think a picture's gone really, really well, right? And I'll sit there and I'll be like, yeah, I smashed this. I've got this brand deal. And then I won't hear from them. And I'll be like, knock.
Hello. Anyone at the door?
Anyone there? And I'll send a few follow-up emails and then they just don't come back to me. And then I'll sit there and be like, did I do enough? Am I still doing enough? And I have that feeling on a regular basis, But to overcome it, I just go to the gym.
Yeah. It's just about basically taking that energy and channeling it somewhere else productive.
Exactly, yeah. Because you can't do everything, right?
Yeah.
I can't physically do any more than I'm doing today.
And to be honest, I think it just comes down from that overachieving mentality that a lot of us have had in in our South Asian communities.
Yeah.
It's about not feeling like we're doing enough because we've been taught to overachieve from a young age.
Yeah, exactly.
And so in terms of like other cultural pressures, is there anything else you kind of face on a day-to-day basis, and like how do you like sort of handle any cultural pressures that come your way?
Walking away from my traditional job and not having that stable salary, because in our culture, right, success is measured like a badge, like a little blue Peter badge, right? Like, oh, I'm training to my degree channel solicitor chair, like, you know, like every Asian parent wants to be able to say that. They're not going to turn around and be like, oh, my daughter's an influencer, my daughter's a content creator.
No,
they don't want to say that. They don't feel proud to say that. Do you know what I mean? So I think that even now, telling my family, because I went to a family wedding a few months ago, even then telling them, oh, actually, yeah, because they follow me on social media. And then I'm like, oh, so I left my corporate job and now I'm just doing social media. They're like, oh, yeah, you just sit in front of your phone and do TikToks all day.
Is that what they say to you? People don't understand, do they?
No, this is how, she just sits and does TikToks all day. And I'm like...
Sometimes it's like, let them misunderstand you.
Oh, yeah. You know what? There's this new theory that me and my dad were talking about, right? And it's the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Yeah. And I just think that at the end of the day, you're not paying my bills. You're not paying for my TV licenses. You're not paying for my...
If you're not making me happy or rich, then...
Yeah. Then why am I bothering? But everyone in this world is going to judge you, right? Those pressures are always going to be there. As a South Asian, you know, everyone wants you to be a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, anything, right? Anything in the traditional route. They want to be able to say, oh, Ria's this or Ria's that.
Yeah. And also they want you to get married to a certain time. Now you're reaching 30. Now it's time to start settling down, because it's just to put on a show.
Yeah.
To make other people in the society happy, not even themselves, just to show to everyone else.
And I'm just not here for that anymore. Like, I get that all the time. So I get you've not only left your legal career, but you're also approaching 30. Do you not feel like you need to do something with your life? You're having a midlife crisis early, Ria. And I'm actually like, you know what? I'm okay.
Whoa. Do people actually say that? You're having a midlife crisis for following a path that is just slightly unconventional, that isn't the corporate world, just because you're following something that actually lights you up?
Yeah, and because I'm not married.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any kids. I'm not married. I'm not engaged. I'm just here living my life.
Yeah.
Making my little TikToks. Making my TikToks in front of my camera that make me happy.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's the thing. It's like now we're reaching this new generation. There's so many other ways to happiness. We're defining our own ways to happiness. It's not going to be through a traditional corporate route, and you're doing so much already to break boundaries in your life. Pun intended. Break boundaries.
My boundaries.
Yeah. But you are, because you're literally a walking example of someone who has left their conventional path and is now sustaining a life through content creation. Even though it's not easy all the time, you're still following something where you can actually, you feel like you're impacting others and, you know, you're doing multiple things. So it's inspiring to see that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and we need to see more examples of you to inspire like future generations of people who maybe are a bit nervous to take the unconventional routes and, you know, break the mold. So do you have any other advice for someone who's got 0 followers and wants to just get started on like the content creation journey?
Yeah, I would say start with anything that you have. I started in my garden that didn't even have fences at the time. Okay. Start quietly if you have to, but don't let your mind be your biggest blocker, because if you let that be your biggest blocker, you won't achieve your true happiness. We are all put on this earth to walk our own life. Judgment is always going to exist. So you shouldn't see it as something as disrespecting your culture or disrespecting your heritage, because actually what you're doing is you're connecting with it in a new and modern way. And that's kind of how I bring my content creation into it, like cooking in a sari. I think that if you want to start, don't let anything limit you. Just start one step at a time, start quietly, and just keep going on that journey and just keep building it until it's something. Because people are always going to judge, right? They're going to mock. But as soon as you've made something, they're going to be the same people who are asking you for your autograph.
Exactly. And I love that example with the sari. It actually reminds me of, I don't know if you've heard of Bombay Mami. No. But she's basically like a female singer, South Asian, and she took a video where she was in a sari riding a snowboard.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, and I feel like
brilliant.
Yeah, and it's just like the intersection of bringing our culture, like our traditional culture, and mixing it with how our heritage now, because like we have both sides to us. Like we were born in the UK as well, so it's like born in the UK, but you've still got your South Asian heritage. Like mixing two, combining them to create your own flavour, your own like modern fusion.
But that's exactly how it is through generational change, isn't it? It's not always going to stay in the Bhagavad Gita times. It's going to be constantly developing, rejuvenating, you know? Yeah. So I think we need to move with the times. As long as you have that respect for your culture, you're not going to disrespect it. You're empowering yourself to move forward with that and embrace it.
Yeah, and that's nice because it's like rejuvenation was what you started with, the word of how your life feels, and now it's like that full circle moment has come round. Yeah. And then I guess finally the last question is, how would you say you're breaking the boundary now?
Just to continue what I'm doing, just essentially like, you don't see very many UK-based South Asian women cooking in a sari and still cooking Indian food, you know? You see all these people or all these creators going to restaurants and appreciating other cultures and, you know, pushing up, I don't know, Italian cuisine or Peruvian cuisine or whatever it may be, but you don't actually get those at-home cooks that are showing up in a sari, showing up with their family. Like my dad hacks is such a big part of who my page is now, showing up, cooking these recipes with an Indian twist and just putting my South Asian spin on everything. Even like reality moments and OCD social is always going to have my little South Asian twist on it.
Yeah, and where can people find you on social media if they want to connect with you, reach out?
So for my cooking recipes, I'm on @on_cloud Dine on TikTok, Instagram and YouTube, and Ria_Lax for my personal page, and OCD-social, and then glam.eyes. There are a lot of social media channels.
There we go. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I think this was a really powerful conversation, and you definitely broke the mold, and I loved hearing your journey and story, and hopefully I think this will inspire someone out there.
Thank you. I hope so too.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned and stay blessed for the next.